When we're talking about organ donation, there's always two stories, one of loss and another of hope and new opportunities. Today on Across the Fence, we're talking with a recipient about what it was like to receive the gift of life, something you can enable simply by checking a box. Hello, Vermont. If you're not yet registered as an organ donor, today's story might make you reconsider. April is National Donate Life Month, a month to honor the contributions made by organ, eye, and tissue donors. It's also a time to celebrate lives that have been saved and healed because of a donor's generosity. On October 14th, 2010, when she was just 15 months old, Bella Boutan received the gift of a healthy liver from a family who lost their 16-year-old daughter on October 13th, 2010. Bella joins us today along with her mother, Courtney Boutan. Hi.
Hi.
Bella and Courtney, thanks for joining me. Hi, Bella.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good.
Good. How you doing today?
I'm fine.
Good. Is this your first time on TV, Bella?
No.
No? What have you done? When have you been on TV before?
Do
Do you remember?
I did. I've been on TV like a lot.
Like a lot? So
Yeah.
you're already famous?
Yeah.
Well, everybody wants to talk to you because you have such a very cool story.
Yeah.
Is it okay if for a minute I'm going to ask your mom some questions? Because I'm going to start by asking her about some things that you are probably not going to remember because you were a baby.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So, Courtney, hi.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good. Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. Yeah. What do you remember about finding out that Bella was going to need a transplant?
Mostly just feeling very overwhelmed and scared.
Yeah.
You know, being on the receiving end means that you're really sick, and Bella was really sick when she was a baby. So when we found out that what was going to help her was an organ transplant, that was a lot of information to take in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did you find that out? Because she was born, she had a disorder with her, you can explain what this was,
Yep.
with her liver?
Yeah,
with
so
her liver.
she was born with a genetic disorder, a metabolic disorder called a urea cycle disorder, where her liver didn't produce an enzyme that she needed to survive, and simply put. And when she was about 13 months old, just after her first birthday, we found out that really the only way that she was going to be able to live her life would be to get an organ transplant, a liver transplant.
And she was moved to the top of the transplant list.
Very quickly,
Very
yes.
quickly.
So as we understood it at the time, everybody starts in the same place on the list, and because of how severe her need was, she was moved to the top of the list pretty quickly.
So you were pretty special, in other words.
Yeah.
So you lived and you were a teacher in Fletcher, Vermont,
Yeah.
with your husband Steve, and you
Yeah.
have two more daughters, Addie and Lily.
Yeah.
How did life change for all of you while you were waiting for Bella's transplant?
So we went down to Pittsburgh to be evaluated for the transplant, to do the initial checks, and she actually got pretty sick while we were there, and we didn't come home. We stayed, that was in September, and we stayed there for a couple of weeks leading up to the transplant. They were trying to figure out how to keep her healthy until her transplant, and then we got the call that they had a liver for her, and so it was. Bella was very lucky. We were very lucky. It was not a long wait. There are people who are on the transplant list for years, and she was on the list for that first month and then 2 weeks. And in that time, we had another call. You have to be healthy to have a transplant, or healthy enough. She had a fever at one point, so they had to turn down one. And then we got the call.
And then you got the call.
Yeah.
What went through your mind when you got the news?
A lot. Fear. Fear and excitement, and like, wow, is this it? You know, at the time Steve was at home, and Steve was at home with the girls, and we got the call late at night, and I wasn't sure if it would actually happen because we'd already had a couple of missed opportunities, and so I booked a flight without telling him. I didn't want him to stay up all night worrying, and they brought her down to get her ready, and I called him, and then we waited for a very long time. She went in really early in the morning, and I think it was 13 or 15 hours before we saw her again. So it was a long
Like
day.
I said, you don't remember much of this, I bet. But Bella, you have gone back to Pittsburgh, I
Nope.
think, a bunch of times since then. Do you like it there?
Yeah.
How's
I
the
mean, like,
hospital?
it's a beautiful city. And I mean, like a hospital.
Yep. That hospital team takes pretty good care of you, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. Bella, I don't know. Do you think about the gift that you received? Do you think about that?
Not much. I don't know. I just know that I have gifts that someone gave me and who did that I survived.
That's pretty amazing.
This not, I mean, not I mean, I died in like a month or two, but I'm still here.
Yes, you are. You're here, and we're going to talk about some of the amazing things that have been happening in your life. So we've got
Yeah.
some really
Is this-
great pictures of you over
What?
the years. Look at this. Look at how cute you are.
Yes, you're good.
In your tutu. There you go. That's you. Where are you? Where is she? Where is that? Do you know?
Do you know which mountain?
I had a lot.
Camel's Hump.
That's Camel's Hump.
That's
All
Camel's
right.
Hump.
So Bella on Camel's Hunt. And I know that, there you go. Birthday. Yeah. Let's see too. And I think we've got some of you. Oh yeah, football. Here you go. Flag football.
We don't tell her transplant surgeons about the football.
That sounds like a good idea. Don't talk to the surgeons about that. And your hockey team. Pretty amazing, Bella. Look at you. Although I know you say that now you're transitioning and you want to do more plays. She's interested in doing plays. And some traveling with your mom. There's Bella in DC.
And her cousin Avery.
Oh, with your
right?
cousin. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Oh, and then look at you
We
guys.
just
Niagara Falls.
got here.
Yeah.
Some
We just
so
got here.
Yeah.
and now you're here. Which
Yeah.
sport is your favorite?
The play.
Yeah.
Plays.
The plays. Okay. So plays is what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. And I'm going to give you a tour of the studio afterwards, and we're going to go look at some more behind the scenes things because she likes
Okay.
costuming.
Yeah.
She's very into set design maybe too. We'll see. So Courtney,
Yeah.
how did Bella's
back here.
transplant change her life and your life? That's a very trite question.
Well, I mean, she has a life because of it. So in the first 15 months that Bella was alive, what it meant for her with her urea cycle disorder was that her body could not process protein, or when you break down protein, a byproduct is ammonia, and that would build up in her bloodstream if she had too much protein or not enough. And so at that point, her life was. We lived in fear kind of by hour because she could get very sick very quickly for very little reason. A small cold could send her going haywire, just not getting enough water in a day, things like that. And then when we got the transplant, it essentially cured her urea cycle disorder for the most part. And none of the things that we were afraid of existed anymore. We didn't have to check her ammonia levels on a weekly or monthly basis. We didn't have to always be afraid that she was going to get sick and could die in 24
Yeah.
hours. And even though she'll always be a transplant patient, she will always take medication, we will always have to monitor her liver function. It's very different.
Yeah.
It's
Now she's doing plays and
Yeah.
On the soccer team or the flag football team.
yeah. She can eat a normal diet.
She can eat a normal diet.
Yeah, and she
Yes.
loves to eat.
She likes candy. I know
Yes.
that. Not many people can relate to everything that you've been through. Do recipients and their families have a lot of community support?
Yes, absolutely. We found a lot of community support within the transplant world, just coming from Pittsburgh, just being down there and living in the Ronald McDonald House, connecting with other families. And then when we came back to Vermont, we connected with the Vermont Donor Network, with people who either have received or donated or are related to people who have donated or received organs. Jim Carter
Yeah,
was,
that brought someone back into your life.
Yeah.
This is an amazing story.
Yeah. So Mr. and Mrs. Carter lost their daughter, Anna, when she was in high school in a car accident. And she went to Mount Mansfield, and they set up a scholarship in her name for a student who played soccer, which was something that she loved, and who was going to go on and play in college. And when I was a senior in high school, I got that scholarship.
Yeah.
Met the Carters at that time, and then they came back into our lives after Bella's transplant because he's very active in the Vermont Donor Network. And so it was sort of full circle, and we got to recognize what it means, I think, to be on both sides of the table, because neither is an easy place to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, then you've both really made it a mission to spend time talking about organ donation and
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
how it is to receive a donation,
Yeah.
right? What do you want to say to families and individuals about organ donation and registering to become an organ donor?
You know, the donor world, organ donation world has a lot of cute catchphrases. You know, you can't take them with you. You know, live twice, that kind of thing. And it's true. And you know, somebody like Bella sitting here can prove what a gift it is. I cannot imagine being on the other side of the table, being in a situation where I'm having to make the choice for a loved one, or having to respect those wishes. But I also, being on this side, see how meaningful it is. And it's not just a box you check when you get your driver's license. It's a conversation you should have with your family. And people like Bella are why it matters. And there's so much. It's not just the liver. It's not just the kidney. It's, you know, there's so much research that's done with tissue donation and eye, and it means so much for so many people, and there are so many people on the transplant list waiting.
Well, we can talk about that even. So according to the latest statistics from the Organ Procurement and Transplantation Network and the United Network for Organ Sharing that manages the organ transplant system in the U.S., more than 108,000 men, women, and children are on the national transplant waiting list, and another person is added to the list every 8 minutes. The easiest way to declare your wishes, I know, wow. The easiest way to declare your wishes to be an organ, eye, and/or tissue donor is to check the organ donation box when getting or renewing your driver's license with the DMV, and be sure to talk to your family and loved ones about your decision to do so. If you live in Vermont or New York, you can also get more information and register to be a donor on the Center for Donation and Transplant website. The address is right there on your screen. Throughout Donate Life Month and all year long, you can also read about some of the 369 lives saved by organ donation in Vermont and New York in 2025 alone. Bella, is there any last thing you want to say before we go?
I forgot.
You can even just say bye. How about waving goodbye?
Bye.
There you go. Well, thank you, Bella and Courtney, for joining me. It's been a real pleasure and an honor. Thank you. And as always, Vermont, thank you for learning and exploring with me today. And thanks to the team that makes Across the Fence possible. I'm Amy Finley. This is Across the Fence. Come back and let's learn and explore again tomorrow.